But I do really think that has got northeast.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Norman, as that lifts up there. I mean, you could make the case that it's even more. Yeah, look at that. So there's a new velocity scan. I mean, it's even more profound than that. It's more. Let me erase this very quickly. It's almost like northeast right now. So it's like this basically is where this thing is headed at this time, and that's being reflected in the new polygon. I don't know why they called that east, because you can see that the new polygon reflects that turn in motion. So anyway, the bottom line is, this is coming towards the 35 corridor, Interstate 35, moving right up and into the Norman area. And so please, folks, take cover right now. If you're in Norman, you've got still a very strong storm now moving your way, and is coming up into that area. Let me go ahead and, okay, so now they've got, I'm sorry. So I clicked the wrong thing. They've now got a north motion on this at 15 miles per hour. It's not moving quickly. There's not a lot of wind in the atmosphere in general today. It's not one of those days where storms are rapidly moving along. So north at 15 miles per hour, but definitely has made this turn more towards the northeast. And, that is why we are now seeing this threat into the Norman area. So drawing that out, maybe even will pass a little to the east of central Norman.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Now there's another tornado warning off to the south as well. Let me track that out. So tornado warning in effect here into the Slaughterville area. That's Cleveland and McLean. You see this new area of circulation that is spun up right there, now just west of 35. And so following that forward, that is going to be moving out into Slaughterville, as well as McGuire, also coming into McKittyville. I'm going to actually look at the velocity data in this case, and we'll see what's going on here. So we've got kind of a broader circulation, but there definitely is a circulation right in here. No question about that. Right there is where we're seeing the tightest part of that circulation, and so that is moving to the east now. It's going to be coming towards Slaughterville, moving towards Willow View as well, also moving towards McKittyville, and coming towards, looks like, Etowah. So in all of those areas, please get to your safe place right now. You've got a possible tornado coming your way. Now, let's go back up to the other storm, because I am seeing some trends here, and I'm not surprised about this. So, let's compare the velocity signature. So there's our velocity right there. Let's go back just a couple of frames, and you see that it was much, much stronger right in there. Very strong, and then kind of taking a hard left turn. So this is not
a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Gotten wrapped up, whereas you go back into the coal area, very well developed tornado right in there. I mean, just a beast of a tornado coming into the coal area and along 74, and you've got this very well developed inflow notch right there. You go forward a couple of frames, and that inflow is starting to get pinched off, and then by the time it gets up near to the west of Goldsby, basically the inflow has been completely pinched off, and so this thing is wrapped in the rain now, and it's not getting that really strong supply of warm and humid air. And so it's not surprising that we are seeing, not as much, but still something on this, the velocity signature right there. Let's see if there is a debris signature. That's hard to tell, but there could still be some debris showing up with the storm. And so following that forward, and I'm going to go back and we'll make sure that the vector is right. Looks like that's going to be coming into the west side of the Norman area. So yeah, I think that's probably correct. Moving into the 35 corridor. So basically, if you are west and southwest of Norman and along 35, you've got a possible tornado coming your way. You were still seeing a circulation there. I think maybe it's getting a little bit tighter. It's maybe starting to become more of a rope at this point, but still a very dangerous storm as it's coming up into Norman. So again, the bottom line is tornado warning here for the Norman area. Please get to your safe place right now as that continues to move in. Now, Let's also go farther north. We've got another storm coming up into Oklahoma City, Canadian and Cleveland and Oklahoma counties under warning. Looks like a pretty impressive hail core on that storm. Ping pong ball size hail is the threat with this storm, and that is going to come right across the south side of the Oklahoma City metro area. Following that forward, that's going to come up into Oklahoma City here before very long, about 8:11 or so, then into Midwest City at 8:21, Spencer at 8:28. So we've got a threat for damaging wind and also for very
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
size hail with these storms. So a lot going on here in the Oklahoma City metro area. We'll come back to all these radars in a moment, but we also want to take you into some other parts of the Midwest. We've had some tornado warnings in Iowa and Nebraska, and here's Todd with the latest on that.
Yeah, and it's amazing when just watching the erraticness of what is happening with Oklahoma in the sense of this thing is moving so slowly. And that's the thing that's so scary about this, is that you have a tornado that's on the ground and it's just not moving in a direction, not getting out of an area.
Yeah, well, you know, the tornado itself, I think, is, getting the tornado circulation is kind of getting wrapped into the storm. And that's the reason why we saw that change in direction. And typically when it gets wrapped into the storm, then it does start to get separated from that, that inflow. And, so I do think we're probably going to see some weakening. A lot of times storms have a cycling that occurs, but it's still a really dangerous storm. And, there's still potentially a tornado coming up in Norman right now.
Yeah, and in fact, we have 2 active tornado warnings. A new one just came out in Iowa, so I'm going to look at both of these. The Crawford tornado warning had at one time had a little more of a broader circulation. It has now been issued back to a tornado warning again for Carroll, Crawford, and Sac counties here in Iowa. And this is really a dual threat here. Not only are we dealing with that rotation, but the hail and some of the reports of hail. I'll get to that in a moment. So going back to the last hour or so, and it's trying to slow this down a little bit, we did have a decent circulation, at least early on.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
I'm going to start right about here or so. And so we had a bit of a rotation that was seen on radar there, and that is what spawned the tornado warning back into Crawford County again. And that's for Carroll, Crawford, and
a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Norman, Oklahoma, as what we're going on right now. So that is a live look at Norman, Oklahoma. And Carl, again, it's amazing with this because you obviously can see how difficult it is to see outside with the this system itself being absolutely rain wrapped, and that's where a lot of the problems is. When you're looking at places like Oklahoma and Kansas and a lot of the central and southern plains, a lot of times there's the vistas where you can sit a safe distance away and be able to see the tornado. The problem is with this one, there's so much rain and there's so much noise going on there that it's actually really hard to see, at least visually, whether or not that it is something there. But that live look at Normal, Oklahoma, and you can really see how the conditions worsen really rather quickly. A couple of lightning strikes as well.
Yeah, and we also have a tornado warning that is to the south of that area for Cleveland and McLean counties. And so let's get the latest on that. We're seeing some pretty strong circulation showing up in those counties near Purcell and along 35. There you see the rotation. That is now right along Interstate 35 and moving towards the east. Tracking that forward, that's going to come into Slaughterville, moving into Willow View as well, McKittyville and Etowah, and all of those areas. Please get to your safe place. A possible tornado coming your way. I'm not seeing any debris right now, but we are definitely seeing that circulation. Now let's jump up farther to the north. We have an ongoing tornado warning in effect here for Cleveland and McLean counties. This is the cell that we were watching earlier. Didn't mean to jump away from that. Let's go back here. This is the cell that we were watching earlier, and we did have a tornado that came through the cold
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
And much less clear that we've got an ongoing tornado relative to what we were looking at moments ago. There's still some hint of some circulation there, but look at the change in the velocity data. So even right there, I mean, wow, just still a really intense circulation west of Goldsby and 35. Okay, that was looks like it was about maybe 20 minutes ago. Then next couple of frames here, it starts to get washed out. Then we do see a weaker but tighter area showing up to the north of that. So that could very well be the tornado beginning to rope out. When you see tornadoes get into that stage where they're very thin and kind of roping out, then we'll go here into, and this, by the way, is the same supercell. Looks like that image is frozen up there, and so maybe we'll get back to that in a few minutes. Then we'll go into the most recent frames, and so here's the latest velocity data, and you'd be hard pressed to find some really clear-cut evidence of circulation there. I mean, certainly as compared to look at what we saw moments ago. That was 20 minutes ago. Very, very strong circulation there, getting a little bit weaker as it moved up west of 35, and then now I'm not seeing nearly the same.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
That area, got wrapped up. We had the tornado near Cole, which you can see, right? You can very clearly see this spin. I know that's a little behind the banner, but right in there, I mean, that, there was definitely a tornado right there. And we saw, the debris and everything showing up there. Then that tornado was still very strong, but at that point, this inflow notch right there, this is pretty typical. Sometimes it gets pinched off, and once that happens, once that inflow gets pinched off, then usually the tornado goes through a period where it's not as strong. And I think that's exactly
a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
At the the reflectivity, it's not nearly as pronounced as it once was. So I do think things are looking better in the Norman area. Let's go back over to the velocity data one more time just to double check and see what we've got in the velocity. And as I say, I think you'd be hard pressed to to find an area of strong rotation in that. I do think things are looking a little bit better here. All right, so let's go up into Oklahoma City. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning for Canadian, Cleveland, and Oklahoma counties going until 8:30. Looking at a hail threat, especially on the south side of the metro. Look at that hail core. I mean, wow. We've had a lot of reports of large hail today, and so right there, just west of 35, looking at the ZDR, you see the gray there, indicating that, indeed, we probably are looking at some very large hail. And let me get a look at the warning here. Threat for ping pong ball size hail, and that is coming up into Oklahoma City. Going to be in Oklahoma City here about 8:23 or so. The storm's already starting to move in, but the worst of it coming in around 8:23, and then Nakoma Park at about 8:29. So still a lot going on here in Oklahoma City, and we'll have more on this in a moment. Let's get back over into Iowa and Nebraska. What's the latest in those areas?
And we continue to see radar-indicated tornado warnings far to the north, but it's amazing how it's twofold. We have the tornado warnings, and then hail is still going to be a major thing. Ping pong, baseball size hail being picked up. Going to look at the tornado warning here that was for Nebraska City, now starting to push into Iowa. So this is for Fremont County in Iowa, far southwest corner of Iowa. And I want to go back just over the last hour or so and just show you the rotation that we have seen here just to the now east of Nebraska City. So it picked up a little bit decently right about here. We're going to step off screen and look right here. That is where we are looking as far as the circulation that brought about that tornado warning. So that was back at 8 o'clock local, about 8:10 or so local time. So we're going to zoom in a bit closer to
a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Tornado warning. It is moving off to the north and to the east. Let me look real quickly at the. Okay, so we can see it there. Let me track this thing out. Right before we do that, I want to go and track this thing out for about to the north and east for Sidney, Iowa at 8:28 and at 8:39 for Tabor, Iowa. Take cover immediately. We do have another tower cam that we can go to, and before we do that, let me go back and show you the another tornado warning that has popped up right here in. Here we go, in Kansas. So new tornado warning here for Chase County in Kansas. This is looking over, and boy, you can really see a bit of a, you can definitely see a hook on this thing as well. So tornado warning here in Chase County. This one just got issued here to the west of Falls, Kansas. So we just want to bring up that just want to bring out that tornado warning there. We have now jumped back to Oklahoma, so now we are back live look in Noble, Oklahoma, and sometimes the live feed is we'll go through this where we'll cycle back and forth again. But the live look at Noble, Oklahoma did look like there was at least something on the ground there. It's hard to see now that we're not seeing this thing moving, so we're going to at least hold on this if we can for another second. If not, we'll just go back to our radars and continue to look at this. So this is now basically to the east, Carl, of I-35 there. So Slaughterville, there's a look at that rotation there. Obviously picking up very well to the due east of, or due west of Slaughterville. You can see Highway 77 there on your screen, and then Noble is just to the north there. So that when it says live look at Noble, I'm assuming that the chaser is.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
On Highway 77 in that. So as far as that is going, we are looking at that tornado. Let's see, it's moving. Boy, that thing's barely moving along at east at looks like 20 miles an hour there. So it was a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located. It's still radar indicated as far as that one goes. And boy, we're looking at the hail core that's coming out of that. Notice the one thing, Carl, the severe thunderstorm warning that is just off to the north. So hail remains a big thing. I'm seeing a lot of reports here. Of at least 1.5 inch, 2 inch size hail, maybe even larger. So just because you're not necessarily in a tornado warning, this entire area is getting hit really hard with some large hail, and it does include Norman, Oklahoma, where you had that severe thunderstorm warning there. And for us here just north of Slaughterville, it's time to take cover. This thing is moving very slowly at 20 miles an hour, but it does look like we have some decent rotation there. It brought out a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see this thing continue to wobble back, whether it is off, maybe even turning back to left again, like you mentioned before, how the main circulation of that the complete system itself, that the system may have a bit of a left turn possibly at some point. So it's not necessarily always going to be off to the east. Just be careful if you're not in that tornado warning. If you're just to the east of Noble, this has been very dangerous. It's not necessarily been a system that has been stuck on one direction and continuing in that direction.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
As they're moving through Oklahoma City, notice all the lightning on these cells. We've got the ongoing tornado warning that is south of 35 here. The tornado warning that was in the Norman area has now been canceled, so we are no longer looking at a threat for a tornado in Norman. I'm not surprised by that. I was talking about the fact that that circulation getting wrapped up and into the core there, and so we saw rapid degradation of that velocity signature, but we've still got this threat for a tornado in Cleveland and McLean counties going until 8:45. Here too, this is not what I would say is a slam dunk in terms of the velocity. We did certainly see a stronger circulation. And by the way, you can see a couple of things going on here. This is the one that we were watching that was approaching the Norman area, but as that was approaching the Norman area, it was also getting wrapped into that core and being cut off from that supply of warm and humid air. So you can see how that signature just kind of faded away. Then at the same time, right as that southern part of the cell crossed 35, we saw a little more organization. I mean, right there, saw a little more of a pinpoint there, and that could have been a tornado developing there. Now in this most recent frame, it's become considerably more diffuse, and so I don't know that we've got an ongoing tornado there, but we do have an ongoing tornado warning. Now there is a live look at that storm in Oklahoma, and you can see that very black base showing up there. This is from Jason Cooley. And I'll tell you, if you've never been to the plains, and I have been a number of times when there have been storms out there, I mean, they really are different animals. There is a live look at Noble, and that looks like it could be an ongoing tornado. Yeah, it does, very much look like an ongoing tornado there in the Noble area. Although, that's hard to tell.
I know it's with the
sometimes
there.
You can see.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
And that may, be a funnel cloud there. There's still a broad circulation in this area, and he's zooming in a little bit on that now. One thing that we like to look for is whether or not you see any sort of, rapid motion. And it's tough to tell, of course, as you get later in the day and you lose the light, it's tough to tell. But that does look like it could be an ongoing tornado there. And so let's go ahead and track this out and show you where this is going to be headed. Maybe we can bring that up in another. There we go. Thanks so much. So, that broad area of circulation, that is coming towards Slaughterville right now, also moving towards McKittyville as well, and moving towards Etowah. I'm looking for some evidence of some strong circulation there, some strong rotation, and sometimes you just don't see that. Sometimes you see a lowering, which again can be a vestige of a tornado that has developed already, but it's tough to get. Can you bring that out full again so we can see it a little bit better here?
And I think the tough thing too is that we're not looking for power flashes or anything that could also indicate there's a tornado on the ground when it's this dark out. So we have to almost use our visuals here and the reports on the ground. Yeah,
I mean, that's tough. I mean, that could be a wall cloud as well. That is tough to. I wish I could see it a little better and see if there's a little more motion near the bottom there. Are we able to talk to this chaser right now? Okay, that's too bad. I'd like to know what, because obviously when you're...
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
There's definitely a lowering there, no question about that. But it's hard to see whether or not there's any sort of rapid circulation occurring. But as that go ahead, as that reloads, let's go ahead and take a look at the radar once again and show you where this circulation is. So it's near Slaughterville right now. It's not as well defined as it was even moments ago. So right in there, you see how there's a kind of a tighter little pinpoint showing up. So sometimes what'll happen is you can get a tornado developing, and then it begins to lose a little, run out of gas a little bit, and it's not as well defined, but there's still some vestige of that in the cloud. I'm going to get in a little tighter here. Yeah, there's definitely still some rotation near Slaughterville right in there, but it appears to be broader right now. And that is near Slaughterville and coming towards Etowah as well. It's not, real tight circulation, but there is some circulation near the Slaughterville area and coming towards McKittyville. Now, I'll also circle that. Let's see if any debris is showing up. Not seeing anything there that's clear cut. Oh boy, that's messy. That's really tough to tell just based on that. And let's also go over to reflectivity and see what's there. So it's in the right place, certainly. I mean, it's possible that we've still got a tornado there, but it's definitely a messy storm.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Into Etowah as well. Want to go a little farther north. Again, things are looking better in the Norman area. We do have cells coming up into Oklahoma City, and so a considerable threat tag here for large hail on the south side of Oklahoma City. Golf ball size hail is the threat. And looking at these cores as they're now moving in, you can see where those highest reflectivities are now near Valley Brook and the south side of Oklahoma City, near that intersection of 35 and 40, and also coming into Midwest City as well. So watch out for the possibility of some very large hail there. Then another warning well northeast and along 44, that's Lincoln and Omaha counties under warning until 8:30 for damaging wind and also hail. Once again, let's take a look at where we've got some other warnings now. Here's Todd with that for us.
And we are looking farther off to the north, and again, this entire area, I just want to reset this whole thing. So when we look at the Oklahoma City, some of the bigger hail reports here, 2-inch size hail being reported outside of Noble. So at least for Oklahoma City and a good part of Oklahoma, that does include Tulsa, a good part of the I-44 corridor and I-35 corridor in Oklahoma, and a little sliver of north central Texas, which Wichita falls in the middle of that. Tornado watch in effect until 11 o'clock local time. Now we have this tornado warning that was issued in Kansas. So we are in Chase County, Kansas, and with this particular cell itself, this is one that been watching for a little while. You can definitely see that there is a bit of a hook that's going on with this, but as far as we're seeing right now, this cell is moving off to the east. This is from Chase, Kansas. So let me at least put a state tag in here so we can see what we're talking about. So this particular cell is racing off of these about 30 miles an hour. When I'm saying racing, it's one of those things compared to the 20-mile-an-hour storms we're seeing in Oklahoma. This one does have
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
It's going on there, but it's still radar indicated. Let me go to the base velocity, and you can definitely see right along Highway 50 there in Kansas and over toward just to the west of Falls. This is quite a significant looking cell itself. Let me circle that, and I'm going to go over to correlation coefficient, and I'm going to see if we're seeing any type of drop off that is coming out of this as well. And as we're looking at that, so well, we're possibly seeing, let me go back just a couple frames here and see what we're seeing. Well, you can definitely see there might be at least something that's coming on there as I'm looking over at the National Weather Service chat out of Wichita, see if we're getting any more reports out of this. But this storm has been one that's really been at least I've been trying to pay attention to for quite some time. The biggest thing with this, too, is that I think we're seeing a lot of hail that's being wrapped into this thing. Going back to the hail zone, this is amazing how big this is. Going to go back just a couple hours, and this thing has really been a big hail maker. Seeing some reports of at least 2.5 inch size hail, so downright destructive here with this particular cell. So this is a very dangerous situation in parts of Kansas. Again, that is that tornado warning that still exists. Also, tornado warning farther off to the north. This is in Iowa. Looks like still a little bit broad there, but I'm still going to track that out for you. So Wall Lake here in Iowa at really within about a good 13 minutes from now, so 8:39, Carnarvon at 8:43, Ulmer at 8:50, and Auburn at 8:55. Again, this is in Iowa itself. And again, really concerned just about the size of hail we are seeing here. Getting reports easily of about 2-inch size hail. Look at over in Charter Oak, Iowa, significant car damage reported of a hail almost approaching 3 inches here. So it's not only the tornado threat we are seeing, there's also the large threat that's going on with the large hail. So again, tornado watch to the south here. That does include a good part of central Oklahoma. We also have tornado watches farther off to north. That does include northeast Kansas, a little sliver of a northwest of Nebraska, far southeast. Northwest in Missouri, southeast Nebraska, as well as southwest and west Iowa. Tornado watch in effect until 11 o'clock. Large hail, damage winds, and of course tornadoes all be a threat. We'll be right back.
And welcome back to our ongoing coverage of severe weather. We are simulcasting right now on the Weather Channel network and also the Weather Channel app, and we have been watching some very dangerous storms in the Oklahoma City metro area, producing damage, a large tornado producing damage in areas southwest of Norman. There is an ongoing tornado warning that is now east of 35. That is Cleveland and McLean counties under warning until 8:45. And we'll take a look at this. You see there's a little appendage on the southwest side of this cell, so right in there, that's the area where the tornado likes to sit. And so taking that forward, that's going to be coming towards the Etowah area, so please take cover there in Etowah. Got a possible tornado coming your way in that area. And then farther north, looking at another storm south of Oklahoma City, Canadian, Cleveland, Oklahoma counties under warning until 9:15. Looking at a large hail threat, could be some ping pong ball size hail, pretty impressive core now coming towards Valley Brook and moving towards I-40 as well. And we've had a lot of reports of large hail today. Again, the tornado near Cole and surrounding areas, we had a lot of debris showing up. So we know we had a large damaging tornado.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Seen some pictures to several homes at least in that area. So a very tough late afternoon and early evening here in Oklahoma, and many reports of large hail, golf ball size hail and larger in this area. There's an ongoing tornado watch in central parts of Oklahoma, also up into Tulsa as well. But this is not the only area that we're watching. We're also looking at some serious storms in Kansas and in Iowa. And here's Todd with more on that for us now.
Yeah, in fact, over into Kansas, the biggest issue here was a little bit earlier. If we go over and look at the bigger perspective here, let me take off the telestration there. And the tornado warning that is down here, that was just to the west now of Emporia. Early on, it looked like we did have we had a really good-looking hook echo. So just stopping it right here. So this is going back to about 8:34 local time. And so when we're talking about the inflow notch, that is this little thing right here. So we definitely had something that was at least pulling in. We had that circulation, and did look like things were, at least the hook echo was looking decent there. Maybe a little more broader now, but again, this is right along Highway 50 in Kansas, just to the west of Emporia, and you can also see the town of Falls there, and that is a real tight circulation. So again, going back a couple of frames here, a little broader off to the west, but then that is what, right here, this is what caused the tornado warning to be issued. So this is going back about 8:09 local time, Central Daylight Time, and then bringing that forward, you can really see how things have tightened up quite a bit here in Kansas, and so that is why we now have a confirmed tornado, at least in Kansas, and so that is dangerous. Moving off to the east very quickly at 30 miles an hour. So Falls, you are right in the middle of this. So this is the time that you need to take cover immediately. In the town of Falls, we're not only dealing with a tornado, but we're also picking up reports of 3-inch size hail that is with this as well. So this downright dangerous cell. Let me get the timing of this thing right as well. So this is going off to the east at 30 miles an hour. Let me redraw this to make sure we got the right times here. But Falls, just right along Highway 50 and just to the north of Falls, but you can see how broad that rotation is. This is extremely dangerous. It'll be really with you in Falls within minutes from now. Again, the scan goes back a couple of minutes. We're going to get the refresh scan, but this is the time you need to get as many walls.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
With that confirmed tornado that at least has been confirmed by a spotter on the ground there in Kansas. That is again along Highway 50, just to the north of Falls. And notice a little bit farther upstream though, Emporia, you're going to have to keep an eye on this because again, this cell is at least moving toward you in this direction. Whether or not it stays and remains a tornado is something we need to keep an eye on. So I've moved over to correlation coefficient. Things looked a little better, at least in terms of picking something up right around here a little bit earlier, but now that I'm seeing this, it's a little harder to pick up whether or not we have something that is definitely on the ground there. Let me take this off again and then circle there, right there. So I'm going to go off and I'm going to telestrate this. And I'm going to see if whether or not that matches up with the correlation coefficient when I bring that back to here, and it doesn't look like, at least a little bit earlier, we may have had something, but it does look a little messier now. Some local storm reports coming out of this. Again, not just dealing with that tornado threat, but look at the storm reports coming out of this. 2.5-inch size hail, and that was reported in Elmdale in Kansas. And of course, they had the report a little bit earlier of the funnel cloud. That's basically what brought about the tornado warning in Kansas. A little bit farther off to the north, tornado warning in Iowa for Carroll, Crawford, and Sac counties until 8:45. So we got about 9 more minutes from now. This was another one that had a little better rotation a little bit earlier. You can see it picked up a little bit there, but then as I bring it out to, well, we still have a decent little rotation just off to the north here. Let me zoom in a bit closer here. So again, we are in Iowa, just to the south and west of Lakeview, Iowa.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
8:42, sorry, that's about 5 minutes from now, and Lakeview at 8:47. So this is definitely time to take cover immediately. I want to give you a bigger perspective here. And again, this entire area does remain under a tornado watch for the next several hours. So you can see the line of severe thunderstorms. One other one I want to get to with this, hold on just 1 second, is my Max frozen up. Hey, why don't we do this? Carl, would you mind taking over? Because my Max is just frozen up here.
Yeah, no problem. In fact, we wanted to take a look at live shot coming out of Norman, Oklahoma, where we continue to see a lot of lightning in the area. Some really scary moments here. We had a couple of tornado warning storms. Look at the lightning that is ongoing there, and a threat for a very large hail. Many reports of large hail, golf ball size hail, and larger from around the Oklahoma City metro area. Now, we were watching a large and intense tornado, a huge debris signature coming across the town of Cole and then also towards Goldsby as well. It was moving east, and then it took a hard left and started to move almost due north, basically northeast, and started running towards Norman. And a lot of concern at that time, but it was also at the same time being wrapped into the middle of the storm and being, the inflow, the warm and humid air was being choked off essentially. And so, typically when that happens, circulation does weaken. I mean, I have seen cases where they continue to be very strong, even wrapped into the core of a storm. It's kind of crazy, but generally you see storms weaken when that happens. And that's exactly what we were looking at as the storm was coming up into Norman. But still a lot of lightning in the area. We're now seeing hail producing storms on the south side of Oklahoma City proper. Those continuing to move off to the northeast. And so an ongoing threat here for severe weather in the metro area. And I can jump back and take a look at the latest warnings very quickly before we go to break. I've got an ongoing tornado warning in effect for Cleveland County. We're watching this big ball here on the southwest of that cell. That's in Etowah County. It has actually gotten a lot stronger in just the last couple of minutes. So this has turned into a much more serious threat moving towards Etowah. We'll have more on that coming up. And welcome back to our live coverage of very serious and scary storms in southern parts, central parts of Oklahoma today. There you see in Lexington, look at the lightning that is ongoing. This is a tornado-warned storm, and you can see a lowering that's being illuminated by that lightning. We are now looking at a much stronger circulation that has developed with this storm, and so it could very well be producing a tornado right now. I tell you, that's something else to be chasing a storm at night like that. But when it's so nearly constantly illuminated by lightning, you've at least got a good shot at having a sense of where you are relative to a potential tornado. But there is definitely a lowering on the horizon there, and I would not be at all surprised if there is an ongoing tornado, just because we do have a pretty strong circulation that is showing up in the velocity data right now. Most recent scan, it's not quite as strong, but it was a large and strong circulation. There you see it's near Etowah. So it's going to be coming into the area around Etowah. This is a largely rural area, a lot of forest around here.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Into parts of Etowah and then moving into Burnett beyond that. And let's go ahead and bring that out full once again to see if we can get a better look at what he is seeing. And, again, there's so much lightning here that you can see, if you look at the horizon there, you can see, there was definitely a sort of a V-shaped lowering in at least a couple of those shots. Boy, it's tough to tell. You look at this and you can just try to make it out. But yeah, you see in just a couple of those flashes there, you can definitely see that there's a lowering on the horizon.
You can also see the winds coming at the car as well. Just a couple of things reflecting in the foreground right toward the bottom of the screen there. But amazing how much you can actually see with all the lightning strikes that are coming out of this, Carl. But yeah, this is extremely dangerous because that still looks rather impressive on radar, at least as far as the base velocity looks at the moment.
Yeah, there's definitely a circulation there. It has loosened up just a little bit in the last couple of frames, but there's definitely still a circulation in this area. Again,
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Getting into a more and more rural area. I've been looking at this on the Google Maps, and a lot of forest actually in this area. So you've got this little town of Etowah, and then you've got a lot of farmland, and then sort of scattered homes, but much more rural area than is that 35 corridor that is south of Oklahoma City. But again, we continue to see this, what looks like almost like a V-shaped lowering off on the horizon there. So that very well could be an ongoing tornado that we are looking at. Looking at the velocity data, it is looking less and less impressive. I'm going to go through several scans here. So we'll go back, and it's amazing how this thing just kind of reorganized. So not very impressive, and then suddenly, pow, look at that. Very strong circulation right in there and to the west of Etowah. You see those bright blue and green colors and yellow colors as well. Next couple of frames as it gets closer to Etowah, still looks pretty strong near Etowah. And now in this most recent scan, it is not as well formed. And so hopefully that means that the tornado is also beginning to weaken at this time. I also want to show you a little farther north. Ongoing severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Oklahoma City. Still got a threat for some very large hail. That is now coming up into the southeast side of Oklahoma City and right into downtown as well. We'll have much more on all this coming up in just a few minutes.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Welcome back to our ongoing coverage of severe weather. We've been following very dangerous storms in the Oklahoma City metro area as well as into Kansas and in Iowa. Let's begin in Oklahoma City where we have an ongoing tornado warning in effect here for Cleveland and Pottawatomie counties. Observe tag here. This thing has gotten very strong once again. It's been kind of cycling, going back and forth between being exceptionally strong and not. And now once again, look at that debris ball right there. That, folks, is a tornado being detected by regular reflectivity. So that area where it's wrapping up right in there, that is a tornado. I can guarantee that there's a tornado on the ground with that kind of signature right there. And that is, largely now in a really rural area. I've been looking at this on Google Maps. And so, Etowah is one town that shows up there, but then you get east of Etowah and there are some scattered homes in these areas, but they're not any particular towns, at least right now in the path of that storm until you get to about Brooksville. So going forward here, and actually that looks like that motion's a little different. I'm going to redraw that. It looks like it's more almost to the northeast right now. Looking at the last couple of frames there, yeah, I think that's more northeast. So let's move this up a little bit. And, following that, I think it's probably moving in that direction. So maybe towards Pink and Bethel Acres as well. But that is, that is absolutely a tornado right there. Probably a large and dangerous tornado. And it does appear to be moving to the northeast right now. Confirmed large and extremely dangerous tornado near Etowah.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
20 miles per hour. They've got the motion as east here in the warning, but I think based on what we're seeing in these last couple of frames, I mean, you see what's been happening right there. It might be a little more, let me just redraw that one more time. Might be a little bit more towards the east northeast. And so I think perhaps eventually taking aim on Bethel Acres, but there's no question about it. It's got a more of a northerly component than just plain old east. So if you're in any of these areas, and that would be along Route 102 there, getting up towards Route 9 as well, 598. Is just to the south there, so it's actually well north of, or 59, that's 59B. So really it's at the intersection of this is 102 right here, and there's Route 9 right there. There's Pink, so it's going to be probably east of Pink and then west of Tecumseh. Perhaps we'll see, what ultimately happens with this thing, but then coming up towards this intersection of routes 102 and Route 9 as well. But that is very clearly a large tornado that is ongoing in what is a mostly rural area, well southeast of Oklahoma City. But there are some scattered homes in this area, so hopefully if you're in this area, you've got a good sense of where you are relative to these roads. And again, if you're anywhere near the intersection of routes 102 and 9, you need to get to your safe place right now, because that is clearly a tornado. That is a large tornado that is ongoing right now and coming up towards those areas. Farther to the north, got some ongoing severe thunderstorm warnings here. One of those near Moore, Oklahoma, a threat for a large hail that's coming towards
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
Here, and then an ongoing threat in Oklahoma City. See the severe warning there as cells are just now beginning to move out of Oklahoma City, Canadian, Cleveland, Oklahoma counties under warning until 9:15. We've also got dangerous storms farther north up into Kansas in particular. Here's Todd with the latest on that for us.
Yeah, we still have the ongoing tornado warning here in Kansas. Going to zoom right down to it. So So this is an ongoing tornado warning. You can still see that that hook rather well on a velocity, but you can see the tornado warning for Lyon and Morris counties here in Kansas until 9:45. So we still have a good 50 minutes going on with this, but you can see the inflow notch really well, and you really see that tight circulation to the just barely to the north and west of Toledo. So this is what we are looking at, the little tight rotation that is with this particular cell. So that's something that we got to keep our eye on, and it is moving off to the east at a decent clip here as well compared to what we've been seeing before. Well, at least at 25 miles an hour. It's hard when it's going that slowly, because if there are towns that are certainly in the way, you could be impacted on it. Now with the cone, notice that Toledo, we have you on here at about 9:01. You're literally minutes away. That circulation is actually really tight and just off to your west. This is the time to certainly take cover. Americus at 9:15, so you have about 17 minutes from now in Fremont at 9:25. Again, this thing is moving off and is an observed tornado, so that we already have had spotters confirm that there is a tornado that is certainly on the ground. Looking at some of the reports coming out of this, and again, law enforcement and off-duty National Weather Service employees reported the tornado. You look in Cottonwood Falls, reported not only is this a tornado threat, but we're actually seeing some extremely large hail coming out of this. 2.5-inch size hail. So now we're looking at possibility for at least golf ball, baseball, tennis.
A severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for our area.
It's just really a multiple threat here as far as this goes. I'm going to go a little bit farther off to the north and east real quickly to show you Douglas, Osage, and Shawnee counties in Kansas, as well as we have a severe thunderstorm warning. And notice that Lawrence, Kansas, you are in the middle of this severe thunderstorm warning. This is until 9:15. So again, that is the bigger perspective. Let me go back to the again, the ongoing tornado warning that is here. You can really see Emporia, and again, there is that hook that really is coming in, unfortunately, very well here on our reflectivity mode. I'm going to stop this, and what we're looking at is that inflow notch right here, and then with that strong circulation that's coming around that. So getting some very heavy rainfall reports, but the bigger thing is that observed tornado is about 7 miles southwest of Maracus, or about 9 miles northeast of Strong City, and moving northeast at 30 miles an hour. So we picked up that velocity, the speed just a touch there. And again, this is something that we are now minutes away. If you are in Emporia, or if you're over into some of the cities that will be impacted by this. So again, Toledo, Americus, this is time that you need to take cover. You know that where you got to be. We live in Kansas. Get in the most interior room of your house, get as many walls between you and the outdoors as possible. This is not time to go grab a camera. Let's get inside. Let's get ourselves safe. And again, that circulation is coming up very well on reflectivity mode, and is heading toward Americus at 9:14. So again, we're going to continue to watch this, and we're going to be not only covering this, but we're going to go over to our local severe. So this is our Weather Channel app that you can continue to watch, and Carl and I will continue our ongoing coverage on that Weather Channel app. We'll be right back.